Good morning, everyone. The opening verses of this week's Torah portion is the commandment to instruct the Jewish people to give generously for the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. The Torah says they should give gold, silver, and copper, zahav, vakesef, unachoshet. These are the various materials that were used in the building of the Mishkan. And one of the commentaries, the Das Zekenim, Bali Tosfos, says that there's three ways to give charity. There's the golden way, there's the silver way, and the copper way. And he says, if you give charity when you're healthy and well and strong, that's giving charity in a way of gold. If you give it when you're ill, and you prepare a will and you start to give charity at that point, that's like silver. And if you give it after your passing, after your death, that's charity on the level of copper. And the question is, charity is charity is charity. What difference does it make if you give it when you're healthy, or God forbid when you're ill, or you give it only after you die? As you know, this Monday we're having our gala for our 30th anniversary, and thank God we've built a synagogue here in Palm Beach. We fulfilled the mitzvah, make for me a dwelling place, and I will dwell in it, in them, amongst the Jewish people, through the sanctuary. And of course, in order to build a synagogue, there has to be generous people who give. And of course, there are those who give when they're young and healthy and strong. Then there are those who only give when they're on their deathbed, so to speak, or when they're ill, critically ill. And then there are those who leave money in their will. And while all charity is greatly appreciated and able to be utilized for good purposes, I have found that those who gave when they were well, when they were healthy, as a result of their giving, two things happened. The first thing that happened is they were more involved, they were more connected. And not only did they give money, but with the money came their time and their effort and their energy to help guide and lead the synagogue from one stage of growth to the other. And therefore, it wasn't just the money, it was their personal connection to the synagogue and their wisdom that helped develop and grow the synagogue. And a second thing that happens is that when you give, when you're well, you have the strength and the energy to encourage others, to rally others to support, and to say, look, I'm giving to this cause, why don't you join me? As opposed to when you give when you're ill, God forbid, or you leave it after you die. And perhaps that's why the commentaries say that the best way to give charity is when you're vibrant, when you have the time and the energy to not just give money, but to give of yourself. And not just to give yourself, but to be a source of encouragement and an example and an inspiration for others. To say, just like I've given, you would get your friends to join as well. And that's the lesson. Let us go for the gold, as they say, and give charity in a way that it's joyous, that it's enthusiastic, that you do it with good health and happiness, and say to God, thank you for my blessings. Thank you for being so generous with me. I'm going to step up and lead and set an example for others. There's a medrash that says that every person has three friends. And when they die, the friend that they spent the most time with them leaves them immediately. The friend that they spent the second most time with walks them to the grave, but after the funeral, they leave them. But the friend that they spent the least time with them stays with them the longest. And who are these three friends? So the Medrash says, what does this person spend the most time with? His work, his livelihood. But the minute a person dies, they're ownerless. They lose all of their possessions the moment they die. So the friend that they spent the most time with in their lifetime abandons them the minute they die. Who's the second closest friend of a person that they spend the second amount of most time with? Their family and friends. And their family and friends stay with them through the funeral, through the burial, but as soon as they are laid to rest, they cannot continue on with them. But the person that they spent the least time with, the friend that they spend the least time with, is their good deeds, their tzedakah, their charitable endeavors, their generosity, their acts of kindness and goodness. And that friend that they spent the least time with in their lifetime never abandons them, but escorts them to the next world and remains with them for all of eternity. Let us give charity, not just financial charity, but volunteering our time and our efforts and our strength to noble and righteous causes, because those are the greatest friends we could acquire in this world. Have a wonderful day.